Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to share with you 5 ways that I optimize my diet. Now, I was not somebody who actually cared about their diet. I kind of just ate whatever and did whatever. And if you watched my video previously about health, I mentioned a bit in there about how I basically didn't care about what I ate. And I had to learn the hard way that there is a direct correlation between what you eat and your physical health. Yes, if you eat poorly, you will have poor health, but the opposite is also true. If you already have poor health, if you have some sort of issue, if you improve your diet, you can improve your health. And nobody ever really tells you that. There's so many people who have issues like diabetes or high blood pressure, which is very, very common, particularly amongst the Indian and Asian community. Just simply making little tweaks to your diet can actually improve your diabetes or your blood pressure. And we never ever think about these things. We just go on the medication and assume that's all that we can do for ourselves, but that's not entirely true. So I'm going to share with you today 5 ways in which I optimize my diet. And it's actually nothing amazing, it's nothing out there. They're actually 5 very simple things that anyone can do to improve their diet and improve their health. Number 1, eat real food. This sounds silly, but if you think about it, we have become used to a certain lifestyle, especially if you live in a first world country. You have access to a lot of processed food. Eating a lot of processed food has just become the norm for us. And a lot of it's to do with convenience, and a lot of it's also to do with lack of skill or knowledge in the kitchen. Like, especially for me, because I remember when I first started out, when I first left home and I had to feed myself, I relied a lot on items that were kind of pre-made in order to help me to get dinner on the table. So like I would buy pasta sauces instead of making my own. I would buy like frozen burger patties because I didn't feel like I could make my own. And the sad part is that a lot of these processed foods are actually cheaper than real food. Now, if you're wondering what real food is, it's basically everything in its natural form. So like fruits, vegetables, meat, fish, if you eat meat and fish, all of that in their natural form is actually much better than buying something that has been pre-cooked or bottled or packaged and has like all these starches in it and all these preservatives in it. Now, you're probably sitting there being like, okay, this doesn't actually sound like something easy to change in my life. And the thing that I would say to that is do it gradually, because that's what I did. It's not like one day I woke up and said, yes, no more pasta sauce from the supermarket. I'm just gonna like make it myself. It took me years to build up the skill of actually learning how to cook. And once I, started to improve, get my confidence in the kitchen, it definitely became a lot easier for me to start making things from scratch. So if that is something that you want to do, then definitely start small. If it means you trying to learn a new skill or simply you just learning more about food, that's at least, a step in the right direction. You don't have to reach your goal tomorrow. Like, it can be a long journey, but every step that you're taking is you improving, Progress over perfection. And if you're wondering, like, why is it such a big deal? Like, why should I bother eating real food when it's going to take me so much time to prepare it? This is what we think. It's going to take me so much time to prepare it when I can just go buy something that's already like half made or fully made and just reheat it and eat that. I live a busy life. I ain't got time for this, basically. The thing is that processed food, it actually has a very big impact on your health twofold. So 1, it affects your gut. A lot of processed food has preservatives in it so that it can last on the shelf longer. And that sounds great if if purchased something, you're like, yeah, I can keep this, for 1 month, 2 months, however long it says. That sounds great in terms of you stocking your pantry, but you have to think about what a preservative actually is. A preservative stops mold or bacteria growing on the food. But the thing is, you have bacteria in your gut that is actually beneficial bacteria. if preservatives are entering your body and entering your gut, it is killing the good bacteria in your gut. And we don't want to do that. We like the good bacteria in our gut. It's actually helping us. Gut health is a really important part of our overall health. Having a lot of preservatives, having a lot of processed food is impacting our gut health. It's basically killing all our good bacteria, all our good guys, as I call it. And it can lead to basically poor health. And the second reason is simply because a lot of the processed items have high sodium levels. They have ingredients in them that are hyper palatable, and they do this on purpose. This is all about marketing. You have to remember that food companies, their only job is to get you to eat their food and to keep coming back for more. So they have formulated every single processed item to taste amazing, so that you keep buying more and more and more of it. Yes, they're literally trying to get you addicted to the stuff. Whatever it is, whether it's chocolate, whether it's pasta sauce, whether it's chicken nuggets, it doesn't matter. It all has these flavor enhancers to just light up your brain and just make you feel like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever tasted. And once you're addicted, it becomes very, very difficult for you to stop eating that. And if you're so used to just eating the processed stuff and now you're addicted to it, it's going to become a lot more difficult for you to change your habits and start eating real food. So I've been down this route. I know how difficult it is, but it is possible. One little step at a time. That's all it takes. Little changes over time will have a big impact. Okay, second thing that I do to optimize my health is managing my glucose levels. Now, I'm not a diabetic. I don't have issues with sugar. That's the first thing you probably think when you hear about glucose. We're related to diabetes. But the thing is, whenever we eat something, our glucose level will go up because we're receiving energy. To our body, food is energy. And when we eat something, we are given energy, so our glucose level is going up. But the problem happens when our glucose level is constantly just like spiking the whole day. It's just doing this the whole day. That's not a good thing, because when your glucose level drops, you start feeling hungry and you're going to want to eat more. The thing about processed foods is that it gives you a big rapid spike in glucose, making you feel all energetic and great. But then you have a really big crash and then you're going to want to eat more. And if you're addicted to a processed food, you're going to go back and eat that processed food, have another big spike, and the cycle just keeps repeating itself. So you end up in this glucose trap. And constantly having these erratic spikes in glucose levels, yes, it does have a direct impact on your health, even if you are not a diabetic. It obviously affects your energy levels. That's why a lot of us, if you've had like a big lunch, especially if it was like a carb heavy lunch, maybe you just had like a big bowl of pasta and it didn't really have like any protein in it, you're gonna feel sleepy first of all after lunch. And then probably like an hour or two after that, you're going to start feeling really hungry because you've had this big spike in your glucose. Then you have this big crash not long after. And now you're hungry and you want some more. So you're going to go get some sugar, have another big spike. And then for the rest of your day, you're just going to be doing the same thing all over again. Now, I am somebody who loves carbs. When I was diagnosed with PCOS, the first thing that they told me is that I need to limit my carbs. To me, this was like the worst thing anybody could tell me. Because I love bread. I'm a hobbyist baker. I love to bake stuff. Somebody's got to eat that. And that somebody used to be me. And now all of a sudden, I kind of had to limit that. That's when I really started understanding the effects of carbohydrates on a person's health. If you're eating just carbs all the time, it's really just not good for you. It's just not helping you in life. But because I love carbs and I didn't want to give it up, I had to figure out a way to eat it in moderation. Or if I was going to have something that was carb heavy, I wanted to sort of limit or slow down the glucose spike. So over the last 7 years, I've done a lot of research, learned a lot about carbs and about glucose and how to sort of slow down these glucose spikes. So 2 things that I do to help me with this. One is to have fiber. So fiber actually slows down the rise of glucose. And if you eat fruit already naturally has fiber in it. So you will notice that if you had a piece of fruit as opposed to a piece of chocolate, your glucose will rise slower when you eat the piece of fruit as compared to when you eat the chocolate that's like high in sugar. It'll just rapidly increase your glucose. I kind of want a slow glucose rise. That's going to be better for me. So yes, fiber. I eat a lot of salad. And if I'm going to eat something that's heavy in carbs, I will make sure that I have some sort of fiber with it or before it. I just need to have fiber in my system. And also, I kind of really like salad, so that's not a big deal for me. That was an easy way for me to be able to incorporate that into something that would usually just be carb heavy. And of course, you have the other benefits. Usually, if you're eating fiber, it's some sort of fruit and vegetable. So you're getting all the other vitamins and nutrients from that source of fiber as well. And the second thing that I try to do whenever I'm going to have something carb heavy is I will have some form of protein with it. So if I'm going to have pasta, I will make sure there's some form of protein in it, like there's chicken or there's some sort of plant protein, like chickpeas or whatever. Like I need to have protein in it, or alternatively, I would need to have some sort of fat. Ideally, it would be great if I could combine all of this in one. So like have a little salad for starter, eat my pasta meal that's got fat in it and has protein in it. And that would be great because that means I won't have a rapid glucose spike. It won't affect my energy. I'm not going to have a big crash and I'm just going to feel overall better. Another example is my morning oats. I love oats. I love to have oats for breakfast. And we all see oats as something that is super healthy, you know, breakfast of champions. Technically, oats is a starch. Starches are carbs. So it's just like pure carbs, basically. Yes, there is protein in, but it's such a small amount of protein that it's negligible. So technically, yes, oats is basically just a breakfast of carbs. So how I try to slow this down, because I know I'm not going to remove oats from my diet completely. I don't like a restriction. So like I said, had to find a way to incorporate that, but not to have it affect my health so much. So what I do is I have protein with it, either protein powder, or I will add things like flax seeds or chia seeds. This naturally has protein in it. And of course, flax seeds also are high in fiber. So that's like a double whammy there, protein and fiber. That will help me to have a slower glucose rise. And then I won't be so hungry afterwards. You know, whenever I have oats for breakfast in the morning, it'll probably be like an hour, maybe 2 hours after when I start feeling like super hungry. And I noticed that if I add a bit of protein, if I add like nut seeds, that kind of thing, then I don't feel as hungry as quick because it slowed down that glucose rise. So I try as much as I can to make sure I'm always having protein or fat or fiber, either before my meal or with my meal, because this will have a huge effect on how hungry I feel after and how it affects my energy throughout the day, because I hate having lunch and feeling like I need to have a big nap after that. Okay, number 3 is to eat a variety of foods. And no, I'm not saying a variety of cuisines. I'm not saying today you have Japanese food and tomorrow you have Greek food and the day after that you have Middle Eastern food. I mean, that's great if you want to do that, but that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is eating different fruit and vegetables throughout. And I get that this can be difficult, especially with the rising cost of food, but do your best, whatever you can, to eat a variety of foods. I love to say eat the rainbow. There's a reason for this. It's not just about the different nutrients that you get from the different colored foods. Of course, each different fruit and vegetable has a different nutrient and vitamin profile that is going to benefit you. But what is actually greater than that is the fact that your gut, like I was mentioning before, you have good bacteria and bad bacteria in your gut. We want to feed the good bacteria so that the bad bacteria doesn't take over. This will mean that we will have good health if our gut bacteria is in balance. Our gut loves to have as many plants as possible. It is recommended that you try and get 30 plants per week into your diet. That is what can keep your gut real happy. So I like to have as many fruit, vegetables, nuts, seeds as I can throughout the week. And I like to vary it so that it's not just the same thing. Because the thing is, your gut bacteria, they're kind of like people. They're all different. They have different personalities. They like different things. So, you know, some of them might like the broccoli that you eat every day. Some of them might not like the broccoli and they'd rather have the nectarine that you love to eat. So I try to like make them all happy by eating a variety of different things. And also I just love color. I love making a salad that has like every color in it. Like whenever I'm cooking, I try to have as many different colors as possible because to me that is visually pleasing. And if something looks good, then you want to eat it. So I kind of use that to make me more, you know, interested in the food, I should say. And also everything has a different flavor. I just love seeing all the different colors. Like to me, that's just like the ideal meal. I do not like a plate full of brown. To me, I cannot have like a plate just of beige food. That to me is sad. There's like no life. There's like nothing interesting in that food. I do not want to eat that food. For me, I want to eat everything that's got all these vibrant colors, and you know, to me that's interesting. And I try to always have that mentality whenever I'm making stuff. Eat the rainbow. Eat as many plants as you can. Number 4 is to eat in season. Now, if you've come from a third world country, like I have, you would have already automatically done this. So usually in the third world countries, poorer countries, we eat in season because it is cheaper. Whatever is in season is cheaper because it is in season. Whatever is expensive because it has come from somewhere else. It has traveled many miles. It has been imported. That's what raises the price. The benefit of eating in season is not just about the money that you're going to save, but certain things grow at certain times of year for a reason. For example, in wintertime here in New Zealand, we have all the citrus. Some people hate that we only get citrus during wintertime here in New Zealand because they want to eat all the citrus in summertime, but we don't really have much access to it during that time. Citrus is a great defender of colds and flus. You'll see almost every cold and flu medicine has like vitamin C. It'll have a picture of a lemon on it. That's not coincidental. Citrus is really good at boosting your immunity and helping you to fight off colds and flus, which are the most common during the winter time. Almost everything grows in that season for a reason, to benefit you. This is something that I never ever realized, something that I did not know. This is knowledge that I have gained like a few years ago, understanding that certain things should be eaten at certain times of year in order to benefit your body. So I always try to do my best to eat in season. I try to avoid anything that's out of season. When I first started cooking for myself, I would just get all these recipes, not even thinking about whether that ingredient was in season or not. I remember once I tried to make something that had courgettes in it, and I tried to make it during wintertime. Courgettes are not in season in wintertime. The price is super high, and really that was not going to help my pocket or my gut during wintertime. So, you know, I've learned my lesson. You know, if it's just the dollars that you're chasing, definitely eat in season, but know that it's also really helping your body at the same time. Okay, we've made it to number 5. Now you would have noticed that during this video, I have spoken a lot about the gut. Gut health is something that I've been focusing on for maybe the last 4 or 5 years. There's a lot of research that has indicated a direct correlation between our gut and also our mind, but also good gut health just means good health in general. Our immunity, well, most of our immune system actually lives in our gut. So if your gut is not healthy, then you are unlikely to have good immunity, and your chances of getting sick are higher, and your chances of recovering from illness are much lower. So it makes sense to try and optimize your gut health. And there are simple ways that you can do that. Some of the stuff that I've already told you are ways to do that, you know, to eat real food, to eat the rainbow. But something that I try to incorporate is to eat fermented foods. Now, I never really grew up eating fermented fruits. Some cultures do. For example, sauerkraut. A lot of people have like grown up eating sauerkraut. I did not. I didn't even know what that was. A lot of people have fermented drinks. I think there's a drink called kanji that people in India drink. That is a fermented drink. Of course, yogurt. I think yogurt is probably the only universal fermented food that everybody has been exposed to at some point. Yogurt is full of what we already know is called probiotics. Any fermented food has probiotics in it. Probiotics is basically good bacteria. You're introducing more good bacteria into your gut. And like I said before, we want the good guys so they can take out the bad guys, because we need that balance in our gut to have good gut health. The most common thing, like I said, is yogurt, but there are so many other things. Yogurt, sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, kombucha. These are all things that you can incorporate into your diet to improve your gut health. And if you are doing that along with eating all those wonderful array of nuts and seeds and fruit and vegetables, that's helping even more, because you need both the probiotic and the prebiotic. Prebiotic is basically just something to feed the probiotics. All that good stuff is going to help you alongside having the probiotics, and that's just going to up your gut health and consequently up your overall health. Now I've got for you a bonus number 6, which is technically not a direct way to optimize your health, but I think it's an important way of optimizing your mindset in terms of your health. And like I always say, your mindset is everything. If you do not have a good mindset, you're not going to be able to achieve anything. So I have what I like to call the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule allows me to eat healthy 80% of the time and 20% of the time to eat unhealthy. The thing is that I realized that I had to be realistic. In the kind of world that we live in, I don't think it is possible for me to eat healthy 100% of the time. Also, I want to enjoy things every now and then. Every now and then I want to have a piece of cheesecake, or I want to have that piece of fried chicken. I want to be able to still enjoy those things. Having constant restriction just makes you want to binge eat that thing that you've been trying to restrict yourself from. I actually heard about the 80-20 rule from my counselor, because she started practicing that in her own life in order to better her health. And I thought that that was a good thing in terms of mindset, because the thing is, you're never going to be able to eat perfectly all the time. And that's not even the goal. We still have to live. We can't spend our entire lives focused on every little thing that we're putting into our mouth, everything that we're consuming. Like, nobody can live like that, and we shouldn't have to live like that. So in order to give myself a break, in order to give myself some sort of ease, I will only focus on being good 80% of the time. And I actually don't like using the term good food and bad food, because it's all just food. But it's more a case of having focus on 80% of what I'm eating and being lenient with the other 20%. Now, it's not to say that I have everything mapped out and I have noted down everything that I've eaten and making sure I'm falling into the 80% and 20% category. No, that's not what I'm saying. It basically says that for most of the time, I'm focused on eating good food, fermented foods, foods that are in season, that I'm managing my glucose levels, all those tips that I've just told you. Those are things that I'm managing to do 80% of the time. If the other 20% of the time, hey, maybe I'm traveling, or maybe this is a really difficult week for me because I've just got so much on, I'm not going to be able to be that consistent with eating everything perfectly. It's okay. Every now and then I'm going to have a processed item. Maybe I'm going to have a muesli bar. Maybe I'm out traveling and I can't prepare all my meals. So I'm probably going to have to buy some pre-packed noodles or, something that I wouldn't usually eat. That's okay. The thing is, even if you're only doing something 80% of the time, that is better than 0% of the time. And you've already, improved your health by doing the 80%. So that's the mindset that I try to keep myself in. I'm not aiming for perfection. I'm not aiming for 100%. I'm aiming for 80%. That's all I want to do, because I still want to live. I still want to have options. I still want to feel like I can eat things like when we go out and, when I'm hanging out with friends or family. I don't want to feel restricted all the time. So I think the 80-20 rule really helps to keep me in a positive mindset, to make me still feel good about the decisions that I'm making. I mean, I know that I'm already eating well 80% of the time. So yeah, if I have that piece of cheesecake, it's really not gonna be that bad. It's not gonna have such a huge negative impact on my health, because I know 80% of the time, you know, I'm really doing good. I'm really feeding those good guys in my gut. I'm really just doing everything I possibly can. So I think that that's a really good rule. Thank you to my counselor for suggesting that. And that really took the pressure off for me. So maybe that's something that will help you too if you're on this journey of trying to optimize your diet in order to optimize your health. Just aim for 80%, or maybe even 80% is too much for you. So maybe just start at 50%, and then you can slowly start increasing that. You know, half the time you're focused on what you're eating and half the time you're just lenient, and then slowly start to increase that. Because once you start doing this, it becomes intuitive, and that is the place that is the best place to be. You know, intuitive eating to me is the best kind of eating, and I feel like our ancestors had that. Like, they were more in tune to what their body needed, and therefore they consumed based on what their body needed. I feel like we don't have that skill anymore, and it's much harder for us to develop that skill because we've just been bombarded with so much information about food and about diet. Like, even the word diet is triggering for so many people. You think diet means losing weight. Diet really just refers to the food that you are consuming. And so I think in order for us to, you know, really like start sifting through all this information and start, you know, taking better care of ourselves, we need to remove all that negativity and first start on building that positive view on food and diet before we start making these changes. Because like I always say, if you don't have the right mindset, you're not going to achieve that. I hope that this has been helpful for you in some way. If you have any ways that you optimize your diet, I would love to hear from you. These are just 5 of the things that I do. But if you have anything else that you do, little tips, little tricks that you have to optimize your diet, then let me know. I would love to hear what they are. Pop them in the comments below. And that is all for this video. I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.